Hello, thank you for joining my Facebook Live today. I'm Leisa Reid, founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now, and I have a fun topic I wanted to share with you. As I know, I'm out there with speakers quite a bit, and I hear a lot of people talking about this topic, and it's how do I become a speaker? I get asked that all the time. Hi, Tiffany. Hey, girl. So glad you're here. So this is great. Great Facebook Live to tune into if you're like, I've been thinking about being a speaker, or I want to be a speaker, but I'm a little not sure how to get started, or maybe you've been dreaming about being a speaker for a while. Hey, Brad. Hi, Mark. Maybe you've been dreaming about being a speaker, but you're just not really sure how to get started. Then I want to share a couple of easy tips that you can start to implement right away as soon as you finish this recording and put the steps in motion. So a little bit about me. I've booked and delivered over 400 speaking engagements, so I know a little bit about speaking. I know a lot about speaking, and I absolutely love helping speakers, especially new and aspiring speakers, figure out how they can share their message more easily, more often, with the people that they're really meant to serve. Because what I find is that we often have, at aspiring speakers, this is just what I hear from all over, people who don't even know each other, they think they have a dream, like maybe it keeps them up late at night, and they're thinking, hi, Lisa, they're thinking, they're imagining themselves on stage. They're imagining, so if this is you, I mean, you know, definitely raise your hand. You're imagining yourself on stage, you're talking to the right people. Hi, Chris. And you're giving this talk, you're giving this speech, and you're excited, and it's passionate. This is your soul talking, right? And so that's good, because that's a sign that you're meant to be a speaker. Now, where we want to take it is we want to take it from dream to reality, which is very possible, but there's some steps along the way. So that's what I want to share with you today. So step number one is really writing that talk out. Like if you have this talk that's in you, you've been thinking about, it may or may not have anything to do with what you do now. That's okay. But I want you to just take that time to write it out, type it out, journal it out, but put words together, because that gives it more life. It's kind of like when you may have heard, or maybe this is happening to you as well, where you think, oh, I have a book, and you kind of imagine the book going on, but you don't actually write a word down. So your talk is the same thing. You've got to actually give it life, give it some breathing room, put some words to paper. You guys get what I'm talking about, right? So sometimes that's the hardest part. We're just like, well, it's easier to just dream about it, not make it a reality. Write it down. And don't worry about it being right or perfect or getting started. Just start where you are, and you can add and change and add to it as needed. I always think of Snoopy if you were a Charlie Brown fan, and Snoopy's on top of his little doghouse typing out as it was a dark and stormy night. And then he like has writer's block, right? So it's like, and then I think a little Woodstock goes and starts typing and has this whole story. So don't get stuck on the dark and stormy night. Just keep going, write what comes to you. Don't worry about it being in the right order or anything like that. Just get the ideas out. Okay, so that was number one. Number two, start to also, on a separate document, hi Sheila, hi Kathleen, on a separate document, I want you to start writing out your ideal audience. Who is that? Like, give a list. What do they look like? How old are they? What are they interested in? What can they benefit from? What is it that you have that you could share and help this audience with? So imagine, give it life. A lot of people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 3 people, like start to give some concreteness to who these people are that you're attracting. What I will tell you, this isn't science, but what I can tell you for sure is that as you start to create this whole Field of Dreams thing happens, where if you build it, it will come. If the talk stays in your head and isn't on paper, then it's not necessarily ready to be shared with the world yet, right? If you don't really get clear on who your audience is, then your audience is no one. So in order for God or the universe or whatever, those angels or whatever it is that you believe in, whatever, for that to come into your life, you want to give that dream some energy. Give it some time and attention, just like you would anything else, working out or spending time with loved ones, okay? What you give energy to will then show up and start to transform. And before you know it, you will be on a stage that you never, maybe it was a dream at one point and it became reality. And I was thinking of two specific instances that were very pivotal for my life where that happened. And one was when I was in college. My very first day of college, I sat in a class called Interpersonal Communication. I was 18 years old. I didn't know that you could major in speech communication. And I sat in that classroom and I was like, that's it. I'm home. This is what I love. Nobody ever told me that you could major in this. Where's this been all my life? Hey, Janice, welcome from Canada. So fast forward, so then I called my mom. Can I switch my major? This is on the first day of college. She's like, well, why don't we just wait a semester? It's probably a good idea. Just why don't you take a couple classes first? So I did, and then I did end up changing my major the next semester. But what was really cool is that I didn't know this at the time, but as I started to learn more about that major, I realized that I could teach and get my master's degree at the same time. Well, that's pretty cool. So I applied for that program and I became an instructor at that university when I was 22 years old. And I taught in that very same classroom that I was in, that very first classroom that I was in, only 4 years later. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So that was my first real taste of, wow, when you can imagine yourself in a certain spot and you can feel it in your bones, then that's something to be paying attention to. The second time that I can really imagine, and there's a few other times, but these are the biggies. The second time was, I don't remember when the moment was. I remember a couple of different moments, but I work at Productive Learning and I teach workshops for Productive Learning. A lot of people know that. Well, I started as a client about 10 years ago, and I loved these workshops, and I still do. And I just thought, this is great. These are amazing. Now, I didn't initially think I would be teaching them, but thank you, Tiffany. Woo, woo. I didn't initially think I would be training and leading those workshops. But as I took more and more, and probably around the third year, I remember, it was about 2012, I remember I said to the founder in a workshop he was leading, I said, well, one day I'll be working here. And he's like, oh, really? Okay. Well, it wasn't too much longer after that. It was about 6 months later through a program and that I started working there, and then eventually leading that workshop in the same room with that same company. So again, there's something to be said about really that feeling that you get when you're like, this is home, this is where I'm supposed to be, and notice that. That's like a sign to me. That's like ooh, I better pay attention, I better listen up. So to recap, that's the word. Step number one, write out your talk. Don't worry about it being perfect, just write it out, give it some life. Number two, hello, Stephen Rano. Number two, identify that audience. Who's that ideal audience? Who's your ideal audience? And again, don't worry about, oh, that's not my job, or this isn't with my career. What is your soul telling you? What are you being drawn to? Because maybe it's just something that you absolutely love to do and it doesn't have anything to do with your other expertise. That's okay. You still could dream about that. You still may find that it leads to something that you had no idea could lead to. So I'm calling, basically, don't censor yourself. Okay, the third and final step is really finding that person who's already done what you want to do, and they've already made a lot of the mistakes, they've already gone down the path, they've had some successes. They can really, that expertise is so valuable. Just like we would pay for a college class, right? Like, well, before you took algebra, you didn't know algebra, so you got to learn from someone who has taken it, and then you take a class on it. Makes sense. It's the same with anything else that we want to do, although now we're not taking college classes. We're maybe some of you are, but what is it that you want to learn to get you to that next step? And if you want to become a speaker, well, then take a class or learn from someone. You could learn from me, but learn from someone who's been there, who you think, gosh, they could probably make this path a little shorter, and a lot easier for me, and get me started. So that way you don't have to stumble as much. And I think that's really helpful. I got a lot of help and a lot of guidance from many, many people. I'm still getting guidance as I continue to learn and hone my craft. There's always things to be learning and doing. So very exciting. Hi, Karen. Karen Sachs, an amazing artist. We have some amazing people on the call today. This is so cool. Very talented people. All right. So what I would ask is, if you have someone in your life who's a speaker, feel free to tag them or share this out with them. I'm happy to talk to anyone who you know who has been talking to you about, maybe I should become a speaker. There's a link, I'll put it in the chat box as well, but there's a link where they can schedule a call with me, and it's about 20-30 minutes. What I call it the Speaker Success Assessment Call, because I kind of need to figure out what is that person interested in, where are they at, what's blocking them, and if I can help, then I'm happy to support them in that. But that's a free call that you can offer either for yourself or for somebody that you know. And I heard this really cool quote that I might start adopting on a regular basis, so tell me what you guys think. It says, you didn't come this far to only come this far, right? So keep going, don't stop, don't quit, keep on your path, keep on your journey, follow your dream, follow that soul whisper that you have if you're meant to be a speaker. Hello, Rick, nice to see you. And if there's anything I can do to support you in sharing your message out to more people so that you can serve and inspire the people you're meant to serve and inspire, then I am happy to do so. Thank you, Lisa. I will sign off from here. Remember, someday is not a day on the calendar, so turn someday into today. We'll talk to you soon.